webinar is all about food as medicine. And again, this is put on by the Biointegrative Health Center International of Reno. Little background, I'm Kelli Hirt. I'm a Master of Public Health student at the University of Minnesota. I am starting my second year of grad school. Though I'm a Master of Public Health student, I really care about the food system and nutrition and sort of how that all plays into our overall well-being, and also ability to have a great quality of life. When I first went into college, I really wanted to become a nutritionist and quickly realized that I am not a sciencey person. And then I just fell into public health and honestly fell in love with the whole idea of not putting all the weight on the individual to kind of figure some things out, but really putting it on the system and how we can just, you know, help keep people healthy in a really easy way. So we do have a lot to cover tonight. I did this because I really wanted to have everyone kind of see like a 30,000 foot view of what food as medicine is. And then in the future, we'll definitely dive into some of these topics in other webinars. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the background of food as medicine and some data that goes with it. We're going to talk about what a balanced whole food diet means. And then we'll jump into eating the rainbow and what that looks like. And I'll point out some really fun, kind of random, but really powerful foods that are really easy to incorporate in our diet. And then we'll go over some grocery shopping tips to just make it really easy to kind of stick to that balanced diet, eat the rainbow, and then using food as medicine. So a little background to begin. Food as medicine is actually almost sort of a movement that really became popular in the early 2000s, late 90s even. Food obviously has always been something that Eastern medicine has used, but now we're sort of seeing it resurge as like, oh, food is not, you know, only to taste. It's not all about the sugar. It really is about fueling our bodies. So what this movement emphasizes is that food is there to heal our bodies. Food is there to prevent and treat disease through diet. And then the whole idea is really just eat a whole food balanced diet. And we'll talk about what that means to make it really easy. Food is truly something that blows my mind. It affects literally everything. When I think about food in the public health realm, I really think of it as this underlying issue that can affect mental health, physical health, financial health, even in so many different ways. So what does food affect in our bodies? Obviously, it affects our gut because food is what determines what is in our gut. So the microbiome is our gut, which is made up of bacteria, and there's some fungus in there, and it's all our body works to balance these things so that we have healthy amounts of those bacteria and fungus. So that kind of determines the overall health of the body, and food affects inflammation, which is a precursor to disease if we get too much of it. So it affects our joints, it affects our digestive tract, and it can even affect our arteries, leading to cardiovascular disease and heart attack, stroke, all those things. Food also affects our mental health and our mood. You may or may not have realized if this has happened to you, where you eat something or you're on, you realize this one food really affects you. It can be a game changer if you figure that out. So just some facts, 95% of serotonin is made in the gastrointestinal tract. So where all that bacteria and things are living, it's made there. And the GI tract is lined with neurons to the brain. So again, food is literally messages to our brain. Whatever we feed ourselves, we're telling our brain is what our body needs or wants. Food also affects sleep patterns and fatigue. people who suffer from irritable bowel syndrome or disease and GERD, which is a reflux. They sometimes have stomach problem, or I'm sorry, a hard time sleeping because their stomach keeps them up at night. Their gastrointestinal tract is just not working properly. And sometimes having a lack of sleep and being fatigued can cause IBS and reflux. So we just want to make sure we have a good balance there. Food also affects oral health, which is something that I think people forget about all the time because it's just very routine. Brush our teeth, we're good. But actually, your gut determines your breath. So eating a good diet can really determine that. So, and it can also keep your teeth healthy and prevent tooth decay. So a little bit more background. These are the top 10 causes of death in the world in 2016. And you can see that the blue is non-communicable diseases, which means many times chronic diseases. And then those make up 60% of the top 10 causes of death in 2016. So if we go a little deeper and just look at the top 3, we see that heart disease, stroke, and COPD are the top 3 leading causes of death. And most of these diseases are preventable. We can see that the top 3 risk factors for the top 3 causes of death, the first one is poor diet. Second one is lack of physical activity. And then the third is tobacco and or alcohol use. So again, the 3 top causes of death by disease in the world are able to be prevented by 3 lifestyle factors. So it's just such a powerful thing. So here I just want to reiterate that the top risk factor for the world's top 3 deadliest diseases is poor diet. What we are eating is hurting us. So let's dive in a little bit more. Balanced whole food diets. It is really hard to get caught up in the world of dieting these days, especially with social media kind of guilting us or leading us towards misinformation, information that maybe is only based on 1 or 2 things. So what can we do to just make it really easy to eat well, I think is a question that should be answered every day. And that is eating a balanced diet. Eating a balanced diet means you are eating a variety of whole foods. You are not solely eating 1 or 2 things every day. You're eating the rainbow, which is increasing your variety of foods. I said eat veggies with every meal, even breakfast, because they're a great addition to scramble, fry up some asparagus or spinach with some eggs. It's great. We should also be eating healthy fats like olive oils, avocados, salmon. Fats kind of got a bad rap in the 90s and have kept that rap going. But they are really essential to our health. There's omega-3s and omega-6s that our bodies need, specifically our brain needs. And we'll talk about that a little more.
Hey, Kelli,
yeah.
I have a question.
What's up?
What about coconut oil? Is that considered a healthy fat?
That is a great question. There's a lot of, again, differing opinions on that. And I think when it comes down to it, coconut oil is a saturated fat, and it's not the only fat that we should be using. But coconut oil does have, and I actually talked about this a few weeks ago with King, who works at the Biointegrative Health Center. And so it's okay to add to your diet. There's MCT oil that comes from it, which is medium chain triglycerides, and those are really good for brain focus and alertness. But again, it shouldn't be the only oil that you are relying on. But coconut oil is great to saute veggies with because it's just a good oil for sauteing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, a balanced diet also means reducing things like red and processed meat intake. I'm not saying that you need to cut it out, but definitely think about reducing that, like steak and beef, processed meat, like your lunch meats, things like that. Think about just reducing that. If you eat it every day, reduce it to five times a week, and then go from there, and maybe 3 times a week, and replace that with some other protein sources, like sustainably fished fish and seafood, some lentils, which we'll talk about later, different things like that. Also, just reduce your processed food intake. If it's in a box, 9 times out of 10, it is not good for you. And that it is usually full of sugar. So also reduce your added sugar intake, which is things like corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup. Anything in the ingredients list ending in ose is syrup, is sugar disguised, and it's refined sugar. So sugar that has been made out of, again, corn and cane sugar, but is processed in a way that just, they don't have to call it sugar. So going on from there, the Harvard Healthy Eating Plate is something that I have used to kind of get away from the My Plate from USDA, just because USDA is funded by some controversial people to guide the My Plate. So this is more of an unbiased approach to eating healthy. And I love that it includes healthy oils up in the corner. It includes water as a drink, so really enforcing the fact that water should be our #1 source of liquid. We're American, and I'm from Wisconsin, so I grew up and my family drinks milk for just about every meal, but it's really important to kind of limit that dairy, because dairy is an inflammatory food group. But it's, think of it like a treat. Don't have it all day, every day. Just limit yourself. More about this plate, the biggest thing you see is the portion of vegetables. So really getting those fruits and vegetables over here, all your nutrients and minerals are coming from there. Like, it is should be 50% of your plate. Whole grains, things like eating brown rice, quinoa, amaranth, things like that, instead of your white rice or refined white breads from the store. And I know, as someone who has lived, as a college student for years, it's really hard to look at this and think, how can I attain this without spending a whole bunch of money at the store? And we will talk about that later. It is so doable. But yeah, we'll come back to that. And then this side of our plate, 25% is a healthy protein. So again, reducing your intake of processed meats, but definitely eating more fish and, organic cage-free chicken and beans, things like that. Another thing I love about this is that it does not leave physical activity out of the picture. Over here in the corner, we see this little person staying active. So even if it's 20 minutes a day going for a little walk, that's totally fine. But that is part of a balanced diet. It helps, curb your appetite and keep you at a homeostatic state. So now, yeah, what's up?
Oh, if you're going to get to this later, that's totally cool. But I was wondering, I hear a lot about using like honey as a healthier sweetener, and that feels a little fake to me. Mm-hmm. Can you weigh in on that?
Well, yes. Honey is better than a refined sugar, but it's still straight sugar. It just is straight from nature. So a lot of times, even eating like you'll hear monk fruit and stevia. They're a little better for blood glucose, but it's like, the biggest thing is it is still sugar that we're putting into our bodies. So just being aware of like how much you're adding, try a little bit less. I definitely have the biggest sweet tooth ever. So I've struggled with this, but you know, I add just a little bit less each time, and over the years it's like been really helpful that way.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. Yeah, and I will also say that adding in, if you are a sugar fiend, using maple syrup is also a good substitute. It's still a lot of sugar, but maple syrup actually has a lot of potassium, surprisingly. Like you can get a day's value in a very small amount. So just a little bit of maple syrup goes a really long way. So thanks for asking that, Rachel. Okay, so let's move on to the rainbow. And what I wanted to do for this section was really, I wanted to highlight each color of the rainbow and tell you kind of what it's known for to do in our bodies, and then talk about one food in that. So I could have picked 1,000 different things, but I really decided to focus on food that is easy to make, really inexpensive, and also easy to find in the store. So let us dive in. Starting with red. Red foods are anti-inflammatory and they are immune boosters. Think of like, you know, berries and vitamin C. That's kind of synonymous. So the food that I chose to go with here is actually red lentils. And I chose this because lentils are kind of a power food. They are super high in plant-based proteins, so a great option for vegans and vegetarians. And they're a really tasty alternative to a lot of things. So just 1 cup of cooked lentils, it has about 18 grams of protein and 15 grams of fiber. And most people need around 40 to 50 grams of protein a day. A lot of us get a lot more. And then we also, women need about 25 grams of fiber and men need around 30 a day. So you get so much in this 1 cup. Red lentils are also super high in folate, which is a B vitamin that helps form and maintain healthy red blood cells. What that means is it's really good at keeping our bodies healthy and able to fight off disease or sickness. And then folate is also something that pregnant women need a lot more of when they are pregnant. This prevents birth defects, and namely neurological birth defects. So a lot of times you hear of like fortified cereals that women are eating, and adding red lentils is a great alternative to that. Lentils are also really high in iron, which is something that, again, women and vegans and vegetarians are often low in. Women because of menstruation, and then a lot of iron comes from red meat. So vegans and vegetarians can struggle with that. Iron is really important in having energy during the day. So a lot of times fatigue can come from that iron deficiency. And then also eating vitamin C with iron, they have a great synergistic effect, meaning that they work really well together and we can absorb those minerals a lot more and vitamins a lot better. Yeah, and then I just put a little how to use. You can add the soups, chili, use as a meat replacement in tacos and pasta. You can substitute 100% red lentil flour pasta noodles in place of just white noodles, and they're really delicious, and they do come in a box, but they are, again, 100% red lentil flour pasta noodles, and they're pretty inexpensive. Before we go on, Sydney, did you have a question? Did you raise your hand?
Nope, that was an accident, sorry.
Well, no, it's all good. Thanks. All right, so we'll move on to the orange, the color orange. And orange foods are endocrine regulators and are really great for reproductive health. The endocrine system is all of our hormones. So I chose turmeric just because I think it's a really easy addition to a lot of dishes. And has been used in Eastern medicine for centuries and basically since the beginning of time. So some benefits of turmeric, it's anti-inflammatory. It can reduce pain associated with arthritis, you know, stomach problems, things like that. Because it is anti-inflammatory, it helps reduce muscle soreness after workouts. So you'll see a lot more like recovery drinks having turmeric in them. That's because they help speed recovery. Turmeric is also amazing because, one, it is an antioxidant, meaning antioxidants are things that grab onto toxins in our bodies and take them out. So turmeric itself is an antioxidant, but it also boosts our body's ability to like increase our activity and help, you know, get toxins out of our body. So it's kind of like a double whammy. It's amazing. How to use powder is definitely the easiest and the cheapest. You can find this in just about any spice section, anywhere from half a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons. You can add to scrambled eggs, rice dishes, curries, soups, really anything. You can add it to some baked goods. But there is an ingredient in black pepper that helps maximize its effect. So definitely if you're using some turmeric, just sprinkle in a little black pepper for those maximum benefits. Yellow foods are great for microbiome support and digestion. Again, our microbiome is where all those bacteria and fungus are living. And I was just reading a book the other day called Gut, and it goes all through literally the gut and how amazing it is. And our gut begins growing the second that we leave our mother's bodies. So what your mother eats, your microbiome is sort of determined by that, and then you keep kind of building on that as you go. So just a fun fact. And we're going to talk about ginger. So benefits of ginger, again, one of those Eastern medicine things that have been used for years. Thousands and thousands of years. Ginger has anti-nausea properties. So a lot of times someone who is going through pregnancy and having morning sickness, drinking a ginger tea or taking a ginger supplement can help curb that. People who are in cancer chemo treatments, ginger can also help reduce the nausea that is often a major side effect of that. Again, in tea and supplements, sometimes people will actually be prescribed ginger supplements. And then just your normal upset stomach, the flu, drinking ginger tea is a really great way to reduce that nausea. Ginger also reduces pain with menstrual cramps. So ginger is anti-inflammatory, and cramps are really, you know, an inflammatory response to what our body is doing. And by our, I mean people who get a period. Ginger can also reduce hypertension, which is great news for people who are struggling to keep their blood pressure in check. And then ginger is also antibacterial, and it helps regulate the microbiome by helping build really good bacteria and getting rid of bacteria that we don't want. So how to use ginger, again, you can cut off a fresh piece of ginger and put it in some boiling water to make hot tea. You can use it in rice dishes and baked goods. You can use the powder in any way like that as well. And both of those are really easy to find and relatively cheap. And ginger lasts a long time in the fridge. Just an added benefit. Green foods are really great for our cardiovascular health. They help regulate circulation and provide support to the blood vessel system. And pretty generic, I wanted to focus on dark leafy greens because we just don't eat enough of them. Dark leafy greens are really high in vitamin K, which is great for our heart, and they're also a great source of magnesium. A lot of people are actually magnesium deficient, and that comes out in, sleeping poorly, being fatigued during the day. And magnesium is also really important in bone health. So having a little dark leafy greens and some vitamin D, really good for your bones, and also good for your sleep. One study I read said that almost everyday consumption of dark leafy greens could reduce CVD, cardiovascular disease, by almost 16%, which is kind of amazing. Just a cup every day, and really easy to add into our diets. You think of a cup of spinach, and if you put it in a pan and mix it with eggs, like it, cooks down to just about nothing. So you can use dark leafy greens in so many ways, which makes it a really easy food to get. Those salad mixtures, saute with breakfast foods, mix into smoothies, mix into rice bowls, mix into whatever you want. So blue and purple foods are really great for cognitive support and cardiovascular health. And I just want to say, all of these foods together are what make our body just really amazing vehicles for health and the ability to live our lives really well. But each food definitely has a thing that it is just amazing at. So blue and purple is good with cognitive support and cardiovascular health. I chose purple cabbage because I absolutely adore purple cabbage, and I don't think it gets the time of day that it deserves. Purple cabbage is super high in vitamin A, C, and K, and per cup, purple cabbage actually has the highest amount of nutrients and vitamins than other vegetables. It's in the top 5 for that. So again, high in A, C, and K, it contains 20% of our daily recommended intake for vitamin A and 80% DRI for vitamin C per 1 cup serving. So oftentimes we think of fruits solely as providing us vitamin C, and vegetables are amazing at that. Purple cabbage is amazing at that. So it helps maintain bone strength, again, that vitamin K, and then it also improves cardiovascular health. It's high in antioxidants. All these foods are really high in antioxidants, but this one in particular is really high in anthocyanins, which promote that heart health. And it fights against cellular damage, which prevents disease. When our cells get damaged, our bodies are less able to fight off disease, illness, things like that. So purple cabbage you can use, again, chop it up, mix with your dark leafy greens and put it in a salad. You can make coleslaw, maybe try a vegan-based sour cream or Greek yogurt instead of mayo or sour cream. Try something new. And my personal favorite is making cabbage steaks. So you bake them, you cut off the cabbage head just, a half inch to a full inch thick, put it on a pan, drizzle some salt and pepper, olive oil on there, bake it for like 20 minutes, and you literally have the best side dish ever. Tastes like candy. Again, I have a bad sweet tooth, so take it from me. And I actually put a link in here because I love them so much. Baked cabbage steaks, definitely try it out. Cabbage also stays in your fridge really long, which just gives it an added bonus. And finally, we have the white and brown vegetable group or food group, sorry. So white and brown have anti-cancer and anti-inflammatory properties. Think of like garlic and things like that. We all love to eat that to fight disease. But I wanted to focus on 2 foods that spices and seeds, I should say, that just don't really get that much fame and time of day. Cinnamon. Cinnamon is an amazing food. I was in a functional nutrition class this past semester, and I had my mind blown one day, and it's still I changed my mind about cinnamon. I've loved it, but I love it even more now. Cinnamon is anti-inflammatory. It aids in digestion. So a lot of times people who are dealing with constipation will, be told maybe increase your cinnamon intake, take a cinnamon pill. It's really good for that. Cinnamon, and this is what blows my mind, just 1 teaspoon of cinnamon a day within 12 weeks can lower your blood glucose. So people who are dealing with prediabetes or diabetes, this can be a really great way to kind of get that under control. And again, it's 1 teaspoon a day. Like, that makes a difference. You don't have to drink a bottle of cinnamon juice, which is amazing. So lowers blood glucose, has that anti-diabetic property, and it also lowers cholesterol. So again, great for our heart. And again, just add 1 teaspoon to just about anything, smoothies, oatmeal. You can add it to coffee. You can add it to your coffee grounds even. And add it to, if you eat granola or yogurt, you can add it to that as well. And I did choose 2 foods for this section because I think they're amazing. Flax seeds are another food that has kind of been getting more popularity, but really are a great addition to any meal. Some benefits: they're super high in omega-3 fatty acids, which, as I talked about earlier, this is a great way to get those omega-3s. They improve brain function and they reduce inflammation in the arteries. They're also super high in fiber, both types of fiber that our body needs. So they decrease constipation, they improve regularity. It's a win-win there. They also increase good cholesterol and reduce bad cholesterol. And for those of you who are unaware, our body actually needs cholesterol. Like, cholesterol is good in healthy amounts and in the amount of the type that our body can use. Flax seeds are also linked to cancer prevention, namely breast cancer. So just another great thing to add in. And then you can use these, steak a tablespoon of ground flax seeds into any baked goods, salads, dressings, smoothies, dips. Ground flax seeds are really easy to hide in just about anything. And I will say that ground flax seeds are actually a better way to get all the nutrients and minerals that a flaxseed has than just eating the full flax seeds. So you can ground these up using a food processor, a coffee bean, a coffee grinder, pretty easy. All right, so now that we have covered the rainbow and some background and why we should eat a healthy diet, I want to talk about a few shopping tips that can make it easy to stick to a budget and also make sure that you're getting really good foods for you. So I have 4 points, and the first one is shop the perimeter of a grocery store. The grocery store is set up for you to go through the produce first and then the whole foods, like the meats and other things. Most of the middle aisles are processed boxed foods full of sugars and hidden ingredients and chemicals that our body just cannot use. So shop the perimeter, really easy. Again, avoid prepackaged snacks and other processed food like that. Read the label. One thing that I live by, if you cannot pronounce the ingredients, your body cannot use those. You should not be eating it. Stick to whole foods, things that you know and can understand by just reading the label. Third is visit a local farmer's market filled with whole foods, filled with fresh baked goods. So, if you're trying to wean yourself off of that highly processed white bread, maybe try a local sourdough, something like that. In addition, buying food in season, which is what happens at a farmer's market, increases its nutritional property. When food travels a really long distance, it can lose 50 to 80% of its nutritional value, which is crazy. I'm in Minnesota, and many people here are based in Minnesota. So in the winter, when we're eating berries, we're not getting them from a local farm. We're getting them from California. So it's traveling across the country. We're losing a lot of that nutritional value. We're also losing the taste of those really sweet strawberries in the summer. When I lived in Nevada, they were at the farmer's market as well, and a little longer throughout the year. So it just kind of depends on where you live. Check out your local farmer's market. Awesome spot to get good food. And that brings us to our last point: buy local and organic whenever possible. Not only does this help out the farmers and the smaller businesses, but it helps you get better food quality and better tasting food. And it can be really hard to buy local and organic when you are on a budget. This I know to be true. I have lived here as a student, as an AmeriCorps VISTA volunteer. I get it. So something that I live by, and just a great way to prioritize your budget. The Environmental Working Group has a Dirty Dozen list, meaning it lists the top 12 fruits and vegetables that have pesticide use. So that's saying, like, buy these organic, and then they have a clean 15 saying these are the 15 foods you just don't really have to worry about. You can buy conventional. So you can check that out. I have a link at the bottom of this PowerPoint that we can go through to see that. You can also buy frozen organic foods. Sometimes that's actually better. It helps you. Frozen foods are picked at their peak ripeness, meaning their peak nutritional value, their peak taste. So again, for my Midwest people, buying berries and frozen vegetables this way can really increase our nutritional intake and still help us eat organic. Michael Pollan said this in one of his books, and it's just a great quote. If it comes from a plant, eat it. If it's made in a plant, don't. Again, eat a whole food, eat something this earth has provided for us. And if we've made it as humans, don't eat it, or really reduce that intake. So I know this was a lot to take in. The food and the food system is a huge undertaking. But something I want you all to really take away is that healthy diets are really there to prevent disease. And that can be done by just simply eating more fruits and vegetables. If I could, nail home something, it would just be this: fruits and vegetables. Eat more of them, to just about anyone that I work with. And then eat the rainbow. That will help you eat more fruits and vegetables. And one thing that I do want to say is that eating well keeps you healthy. It, keeps you more productive and better able to focus. But eating well is really a way to tell yourself that you love yourself and show honor to yourself, show respect. So think of it as like a treat to your body that you eat well. And I will say it is okay to treat yourself with your guilty pleasure. If you love potato chips, if you love chocolate, please do not deprive yourself, but just add it in there in moderation, and that's okay. And just remember that every time you eat or drink, you are either fighting disease or feeding it. And that is all I have. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns?
Well, I just want to say I think you did a great job of covering all the different things that food can do for you. It can really overwhelm your mind when you think about all the different foods and everything that you have to eat every day to get all the nutrients, and we can really overwhelm ourselves with those thoughts. But I think it's really important, and you highlighted this, that eating a teaspoon of cinnamon a day can really change your health overall. Or like eating, like a doctor, eating an apple a day keeps the doctor away. You know, like those little phrases of just like, just eat these things little by little every day and keep that variety and you'll be good. Like there's not really a concern if you're just keeping variety of fruits and vegetables. And so thank you for highlighting that and making it seem not as complicated as all the fad diets and other inputs make it.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I will also say, I've been in that spot where I'm like, oh, I'm going to eat so much of this because it's so healthy for me. And then you just get burnt out from it. And that's not healthy either. So yeah, I think just it's really important to understand this time, this day and age especially, that you don't have to go crazy with one food. You just go very, just include a lot of different things in there. And if anyone else has questions, I am more than willing to chat, talk about them. Anyone? All right, well, while you guys are thinking, because I know someone else has a question, for sure, because food is amazing and we all want to talk more about it, or maybe that's just me. These are a few of the resources that I have used and use on a regular basis to learn more about the food system, learn more about eating a balanced diet. The Food is Medicine Coalition is just a national organization that they use food as medicine in hospitals and for treating chronically ill patients. So I put that on there because it's an amazing thing. And lots of communities are doing it, even though they don't get a lot of attention. For shopping, here's the link to the Dirty Dozen and then the Clean 15. This is just a book that is kind of amazing. It has recipes and it really talks about like why eating a healthy diet is good for you and the planet and really cheap, easy ways to do that. Dr. Mark Hyman he brings people onto his podcast every week that deal with food and our bodies. So that's great. Here's the Healthy Eating Plate if you'd like to look more into that. And then just some more about eating the rainbow. Here's a couple other articles about that. Yeah. So anyone else have any questions? I'm going to launch the poll right now, and I think you can still ask questions.
Hey, Kelly, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Do you have any recommendations for good places to look for recipes? My husband and I are so burnt out on the few recipes that we do every single week, which then means we eat out because we just have no idea what to do. And when we eat out, we tend to eat French fries as a primary meal.
Well, for sure. I mean, the top two, okay, this is just another fun fact for everyone off of that. The top two vegetables that are consumed in America are potatoes and tomatoes in the form of ketchup and French fries. And I'm totally there. Like, I love French fries. Yeah, and I think it's really hard right now, especially kind of like staying at home so much. You're really trying to get creative, and like ordering out and going out is a way to like get a sense of what's happening outside. I use Pinterest a lot, which can be hard because it, regurgitates a lot of the things you like. But Pinterest, I follow a bunch of different like chefs on Instagram, and I'm definitely more than willing to share some of those with you. Yeah.
I would
I'll
love
even
your Instagram options. Yes, shoot me a text or something.
I absolutely will. And I also want to say that a lot of times when I eat out, I get dishes and I'm like, I love this. And I look at them, and if you dissect a dish that you get from a restaurant, 9 times out of 10, they're really easy to make at home. So kind of just putting a little twist, a personal twist on a food that you love to eat out. Like, I love to go to a Mediterranean spot, and I'm like, well, I love getting it from here, and I love, supporting them, but I can also make this at home pretty easy, and it can be a fun way to experiment in the kitchen. So that was pretty vague, I'm sorry.
No, it was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
I see that you you said you recommended that 8 simple steps to healthier you. You also said a book that focused on gut, or it was called Gut. Do you have any other books that you've read that focus on the microbiome or nutrition in general that you would recommend?
Oh, not specifically the microbiome. I did quote Michael Pollan. Michael Pollan. He has a few books that he's a journalist, so he takes kind of a back seat to all the science and just really reports on the unbiased truths. So he has a lot of books on nutrition. Those are really great. Sorry, I'm just looking at my book stack. Other books. I'm sorry, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I can definitely come up with a little list because I know there are more. I'm just like blanking.
No, that's okay. The Michael Pollan, I'll look into his books. I did research a little bit, but sounds like he's got more than just like the one that you hear the most about, the eat veggies or whatever that one is called.
Yeah. And Dr. Mark Hyman does have a few books on it. He has some really great books. But he's a doctor and he has kind of bought into the selling side of food. So I just read some of his with caution, but yeah. Anyone else? Cool. Well, I really appreciate you all being here. Obviously, food is my favorite topic, and I could talk about it for hours. So I just want to put this back up, and you will get these slides. Truly, please feel free to email me or follow me or reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am so open to any questions. Jenna, I can definitely get you more book titles if you'd like. Sydney, I'll reach out to you. But I'm definitely willing to be there if you need. So please fill out the poll. And once again, I just appreciate all of you taking time this Tuesday night.